in the vast frost-kissed expanse of Russia's Far East, where the Amur River snakes through dense taiga forests like a silver vein pulsing with ancient secrets, the Siberian tiger, once the unchallenged monarch of the wild, clings to existence by threads finer than spider silk. Majestic beasts with coats of molten gold etched in midnight stripes, eyes like embers in the gloom, they embody the raw poetry of survival. Yet, for all their allure, these tigers teeter on the brink. Poachers' bullets and loggers' chainsaws have carved their numbers to a whisper. Fewer than 600 roam free, their roars echoing as ghosts in the windswept pines. Each cub born is not merely a life, but a lifeline, a defiant spark against oblivion. Zoos worldwide, from the concrete jungles of Berlin to the bamboo groves of Chengdu, labor in shadowed alliances to stoke that flame. But in the heart of it all, at the Khabarovsk Zoo, nestled against the frozen Amur, a miracle unfurled in the bitter winter of 2025, one that would rewrite the annals of conservation and etch itself into the souls of millions. It was January 2025, and the air in Khabarovsk hung heavy with the scent of impending snow, the kind that blankets the world in hush and harbors secrets beneath its weight. The zoo, a modest sprawl of enclosures ringed by birch groves and the distant hum of the Trans-Siberian Railway, buzzed with a tension thicker than the ice on the river. No tiger cubs had been born in Russian captivity that season, not in Moscow's Grand Menagerie, not in Vladivostok's coastal pens. The pressure was a vice, squeezing the life from every staff meeting, every whispered consultation under the sodium glow of enclosure lights. Russia's Amur tigers, the northernmost of their kind, faced a peril unique to their icy realm. Winters that starved the prey, summers that scorched the salmon runs, and a black market that valued their pelts and bones as aphrodisiacs worth more than gold. With wild populations plummeting, every breeding program was a gamble with Extinction's cold hand. At the epicenter stood Ira Volkov, the zoo's 28-year-old head of carnivore programs. Tall and wiry, with hair the color of raven feathers cropped short against the wind. Ira had grown up in these parts, daughter of a taiga trapper turned eco-warden. She knew the tigers not as exhibits, but as kin-fierce, flawed souls forged in the same unforgiving forge. Her charge this season was Zarya, a 14-year-old tigress with a pedigree as storied as the Volga itself. Born in the wilds of the Sikhotalin Reserve in 2011, Zarya had been orphaned young, her mother felled by a poacher's snare. Rescued as a cub, barely larger than a house cat, she was airlifted to Khabarovsk, her amber eyes wide with the terror of loss. Named Zarya for the dawn she symbolized, a new hope for her kind, she had since become the zoo's matriarch, her muscular frame rippling under fur that gleamed like burnished copper in the sun. But Zarya's story was laced with quiet triumphs. She had birthed 2 litters before. 4 cubs in total, all hand-reared after she rejected them in the haze of postpartum instinct. Her gentleness masked a warrior's heart, and she had a peculiar fondness for the faint whiff of pine resin, the ghost of her forest home that the keepers dabbed on toys to soothe her. Yet for all her prowess, Zarya embodied the cruel riddle of tiger reproduction. Amur females, like their kin across the tropics, ovulate only fleetingly, perhaps 48 hours a year, a narrow corridor of fertility slammed shut by stress or season. In the wild, males roam vast territories, scents on the wind their only map to mates. In captivity, proximity breeds familiarity, not fire. It's like threading a needle in a blizzard, Ira often quipped to her team, her voice a low rumble honed by years of field calls. Natural matings were a rarity, fraught with standoffs and scratches. Tigers, solitary by nature, viewed courtship as combat. Instead, the zoo leaned on science's steady hand, artificial insemination, a ballet of pipettes and patience, harvesting semen from compatible males and threading it into the female's future. This year's hope hinged on Boris, a 12-year-old tom imported from the Lazovsky Reserve 2 years prior. Broad-shouldered and scarred from territorial scraps, Boris was a study in quiet power, his roar a thunderclap that rattled the aviary birds. He and Zarya shared bloodlines, distant cousins from the same genetic pool. Vetted by the Russian Academy of Sciences to bolster diversity without inbreeding's curse, Their union had yielded nothing in natural attempts. Boris's advances met Zarya's arched back and bared fangs. So, in mid-November 2024, as the first flurries dusted the enclosures, the team convened under the vaulted roof of the veterinary wing. Dr. Alina Kuznetsova, a silver-haired expert from the Amur Tiger program in Vladivostok, flew in on a chartered meat chopper, her duffel stuffed with cryo-preserved vials and hormone assays. Alina, with her doctorate from Moscow State and scars from A09 poacher skirmish, was the oracle of big cats her council had saved litters from Vladivostok to San Diego. The procedure was a ritual of precision. Zarya, sedated lightly with edorphine darts, lay on a padded table under halogens that mimicked Siberian sun. Ira held her paw, whispering Siberian lullabies her father once sang to spooked horses. Alina, gloved and steady, navigated the ultrasound wand, confirming the ovulation spica-surge and progesterone gleaned from months of urine samples, collected daily in sawdust-lined trays. The semen thawed to body warmth was a milky promise from Boris, collected via electroejaculation under his own trance of calm. 40 million swimmers, Alina murmured, injecting the cocktail with a catheter as fine as fishing line. May the taiga favor us. Zarya stirred as the drugs ebbed, her tail flicking like a metronome of indifference. Boris, in his adjacent pen, paced with unknowing vigor, oblivious to his role in the gamble. The waiting was the true torment. Tigers gestate 3.5 months, a countdown etched in hormone charts and behavioral logs. False pregnancies plagued the species' pseudo-pregnancies, where elevated prolactin mimicked maternity, swelling teats and nesting urges only to dash hopes with empty wombs. Their bodies lie like politicians, Alina joked bitterly, recalling a 2022 fiasco at Novosibirsk. To pierce the veil, they turned to tech. Weekly ultrasounds, Doppler probes, listening for fetal heartbeats faint as Morse code. By early January 2025, the first blip appeared a single, pulsing dot on the grainy screen. One cub. IRA's team erupted in the dim vet room. High fives, bear hugs, a bottle of Kvass cracked open in defiance of protocols. Odin Malish, Ira breathed. One little one. News rippled through the zoo like thaw water. Keepers toasted in the canteen. Volunteers wept over tea. Zarya, sensing the shift, grew reclusive, her appetite dipping from 10 kilos of horse meat daily to half, her jaws working methodically on a rubber tire scented with elk blood. As the due date loomed late February, under the pallid orb of a waxing moon, the preparations intensified. Zarya's den, a climate-controlled cavern of forrock and straw bales, was fortified, infrared cams mounted in trios, streaming to a central hub where monitors glowed like watchful eyes. The zoo's director, grizzled Viktor Petrov, a holdover from Soviet-era zoos, greenlit a public feed Tiger Watch 2025 dubbed by a tech-savvy intern. Links went viral on VKontakte and Telegram channels, drawing 50,000 viewers overnight. Russian state media, from Rossio 1 to the eco-podcasts of Primorsky Krai, dispatched crews, drones humming over the taiga for B-roll. Anchors in fur-lined parkas promising a birth for the ages. The stakes transcended the zoo. Amur tigers were Russia's emblem, their survival a point of national pride amid geopolitical storms. Whispers of poacher rings shadowy syndicates trafficking parts to China. It had urgency. A successful litter could fund anti-snaring patrols. Zarya's changes were harbingers, etched in the logs IRA, pored over by flashlight in her cramped flat above the gift shop. The tiger shredded straw into mats, her massive paws kneading with a mother's ferocity, piling it high in the den's corner. She paced circuits at dawn, her stripes blurring in the steam of her breath, pausing to lick flanks that swelled imperceptibly. Appetite vanished. She toyed with rabbits, batting them like forgotten dreams. She's building her world, Ira noted in her journal, a leather-bound relic from her uni days at Irkutsk. Nights blurred into vigils. Ira bunked in the hub, napping on a cot amid beeps and coffee dregs, her team rotating shifts like sentinels. Alina stayed on, bunking with the vets, her tales of wild chases tracking radio-collared toms through blizzards fueling morale. Outside, Khabarovsk skis slumbered under snowdrifts, the Amur groaning with ice floes. But inside the zoo, anticipation crackled like static. February 28th dawned cobalt and cruel. Winds howling off the Stanovoy range, Zarya had retreated fully, her form a golden ghost in the cam feeds. By noon, contractions rippled her flank, subtle at first, then convulsive, her low growls rumbling through speakers. Ira's heart hammered. She radioed the team. It's time. Positions. The hub filled. Vets in scrubs. A neonatal specialist from Moscow on video link. Petrov nursing a flask of Samagon. Viewers surged to 200,000, chats ablaze, Defy Zarya. For the Tsars. Alina monitored vitals via implant telemetry, heart rate spiking to 140, temps holding at 101 degrees Fahrenheit. Zarya circled her nest, tail lashing, then coiled, muscles bunching like coiled springs. At 4:17 p.m., the first cub emerged, slick spotted torpedo, eyes sealed shut, limbs paddling blindly. Weighing 900 grams, the size of a loaf, it mewled faintly, its fur a damp whisper of tawny promise. Zarya, instinct incarnate, rasped her tongue over it. Severing the cord with precise nips, drawing it to her flank where teats swelled with colostrum, the hub exhaled. Cheers, claps, tears tracing tracks on cheeks. Odin Zadorvi, the Moscow doc, confirmed via ultrasound ping no distress, vitals strong. Petrov slapped Ira's back. History, Volkov. You've done it, feeds exploded. RT ran live cuts. Headlines blaring Siberian dawn. Cub born amid frost. Zarya nursed serenely. Her purr a freight train rumble. The cub tentatively dubbed malish by staff latching with greedy tugs. Relief washed the room like spring rain. Shifts eased. Sandwiches passed. The world outside the den resuming its spin. But fate, that capricious taiga spirit, had one more arrow knocked. 7 minutes later, for 24 p.m. Zarya's body tensed anew. A guttural yowl split the speakers, her haunches quivering as she bore down. Ira froze mid-bite, sandwich crumbling. What the? Alina bolted to the monitor, zooming the cam. Zarya's flanks heaved, expelling fluid in a gush. The hub fell to tomb silence, breaths held as collective as a prayer. Viewers, oblivious at first, flooded chats with confusion. Another? Twins. Then, with a slick whoosh, the second cub slithered forth, identical in its raw vulnerability. 850 grams of wriggling need. Zarya's head snapped around, tongue darting to claim it, but hesitation flickered, a low chuff, ears flattening. The first cub, sensing rivals, squalled in protest. Pandemonium erupted. Da Malishki. Ira screamed, vaulting her console, fists pumping. Elena whooped, hugging the Moscow feed. Petrov's flask hit the floor, Samagon pooling like tears of joy. Text scrambled the split screens, narrating in breathless Russian, unprecedented twins from Zarya. Chats detonated 1.2 million viewers, shares cascading across Weibo and Twitter, hashtag TAIGA twins trending globally. BBC dispatched a stringer from Beijing. CNN's EcoDesk looped clips, anchors murmuring of Russia's roaring miracle. This wasn't mere birth. It defied the odds. Ultrasounds had whispered one. Twin tigers occurred in 20% of pregnancies, but survival. A coin's flip in the wild where mothers, milk-strapped, abandoned the runt. Captive rates hovered at 60%, but for Amur's hardy yet fragile and cold, it was a gauntlet. The last U.S. captive twins dated to '89 at the Bronx Zoo. In Russia, 1997 at Barnaul, both lost to pneumonia. The revelation cascaded into frenzy. Poacher tip lines lit up tips of syndicates eyeing the cubs for trophies. Petrov locked down the zoo. Trolls doubling with armed rangers from the FSB's wildlife unit. Media swarmed the gates. Drones buzzed illegally. Reporters in anoraks clamoring for sound bites. Ira thrust into the spotlight. Faced mics with Zarya's calm. These aren't ours. They're the taigas. We'll fight for them. But beneath the triumph lurked peril. Zarya, exhausted, alternated licks between cubs, her energy a finite well. The first boulder dominated the teats. The second nuzzled futilely, mules weakening. Thus began the vigil of swaps, a dance as delicate as frost filigree. Drawing from panda protocols, Elena had consulted Chengdu vets. The team instituted rotations. Cub 1 the elder, dubbed Solnishko. Little son stayed with Zarya for 2-hour feeds. Then swapped to an incubator humming at 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Formula dripped via tubes, mimicking nipples. Cub to Zvezdoshka, little star took the slot, warmed by maternal heat. Vets monitored weights hourly. Solnishko at 950 grams post-feed, Existoshka lagging at 820 grams. Night blurred into day. Ira catnapped in snatches, her dreams haunted by poacher shadows from her father's tales. Subplots wove in. Young keeper Alexei, a burly ex-soldier with a crush on IRA, manned the night shift, sharing vodka-fueled confessions of lost patrols. Alina mentored a wide-eyed intern, Lena, whose sketches of the Cubs' pencil strokes, capturing their sealed eyes and velvet paws, hung in the hub like talismans. Weeks ground on, the Cubs' eyes unsealing at fortnight's end, 2 slits of tiger gold. Stripes sharpened, tails lengthened to question marks, but twists loomed. At 3 weeks, Zvezdoshka spiked a fever minus 101.5 degrees Fahrenheit, Lothario cloaking her like mist. Cultures revealed E. coli from a tainted formula batch. Moscow's virologists airlifted phage therapy, a cocktail of bacteriophages harvested from Lake Baikal. Ira hand-fed the runt through the crisis, syringe by syringe, whispering, "Fight, Zvezda Moya. The river needs your roar." Media spun scandal. A leaked memo alleged negligence, poacher moles in supply chains. Vacan-taked forums raged conspiracy threads linking the zoo to oligarch hunts. Petrov weathered a ministry probe, his gravel voice booming in pressers. "These cubs are Russia's heart. We bleed for them." Gender reveals added whimsy amid storm. Initial exams pegged both male external cues deceptive in neonates. But at 6 weeks during deworming, anomalies surfaced. Solnishko's underbelly softer, Existoshka's scent glands subtler. DNA swabs rushed to the RAS lab in Khabrovsk, confirmed the bombshell on March 28th, both females. Jubilation rippled. Were gold in conservation, breeders of futures. Divi Tsarevny Petrov announced 2 flashing bulbs. 2 princesses of the taiga. The zoo's vet, old Dr. Sokolov, chuckled over borscht. Tigers fool us like lovers. Mei Ling in Atlanta was the same thought. Boy proved queen. Nei Ming became national theater. Channel 1, Russia's morning juggernaut. Launched Tiger Thrones, a poll, flooding apps and ballots, millions voting from Yakutsky yurts to Moscow metros. Options evoked lore. Sibirskaya, Siberian, Amerchik, Little Amor, Taganka Taiga Girl. Votes tallied in a televised gala on April 15th. Host in Cossack brocade unveiling, meet Solnishko Volkov, son of the wolf, and Zvezdoshka Kuznetsova, star of the Kuznets. Ira's surname for the bold one, Elena's for the Fida, a nod to the women who midwifed their dawn. The nation swooned. Plush toys flew off shelves. School kids penned letters in crayon. Grow fierce, queens. Yet shadows encroached. Poacher intel heated. A syndicate, the Black Fang crew out of Blagoveshcht, eyed the cubs for a Beijing auction pelts at $50,000 apiece. Drones, spotted at dusk, silenced by FSB jammers. Alexei, volunteering for perimeter runs. Uncovered a mole, a groundskeeper bribed with yuan, his phone pinging triangulated Kurds. A midnight sting flashbangs in the snow. Cuffs on frostbitten wrists netted the ring's lieutenant, his satchel stuffed with tranq darts. Headlines screamed tiger traders foiled. Boosting donations. Oligarchs funneled rubles for anti-poach drones. The cubs thrived, personalities blooming like spring ephemerals. Solnishko, the alpha, pounced shadows with sibling swagger, her playgrowls mini-thunders. Uzivstoshka, slyer stalked from flanks, ambushing with feather-light paws. Zarya watched with regal poise, her rejection instincts quelled by swaps by month 3. She tolerated tandem nursing, milk flowing in twin rivers. Enclosure intros loomed. First peaks for VIPs, then public unveil in June, under solstice sun. But diplomacy loomed larger. Amur tigers, like China's pandas, were wards of state-loaned, globally under accords. Offspring repatriated to reserves post-weaning. The twins, per treaty with the WWF and Russian ministry, were slated for Sikotalin by 2028, collared for tracking, harbingers of rewilding. Subplots deepened the weave. Ira and Alexei's flirtation kindled in Hub Lul's shared smokes by the Amur, his hand brushing hers over cub charts. "You fight like her," he said of Zarya, eyes tracing her scars from a .22 snare bust. Alina, widowed young, found solace mentoring Lena. Zard exhibit Fangs of Dawn, sold out in Khabarovsk's galleries, precedes arming rangers. Flashbacks pierced the present. Ira's father, felled by pneumonia after a poach chase. His last words, "Guard the ghosts, Devushka, Boris the sire." Sired drama escaping his pen in May, rampaging the service yard. Subdued with fish lures and tranquilizer fog. His roar, echoing the wild, reminded all. Tigers were not pets, but princes in exile. By fall 2025, the twins romped in dappled sun, weights tripled, roars tentative trills. Zarya preened, her legacy secure. But echoes resounded. In October, Zarya kindled again ultrasound twins, ironies wink. The zoo buoyed, expanded new, aviaries, tiger trails funded by Twin Mania, merch, poacher busts multiplied. Black Fang crumbled under indictments. February 2028 dawned misty. Repatriation Day, Solnishko and Zvezdoshka, now sleek adolescents, crated in velvet-lined holds aboard an Il-76 to tourney. Send-off with spectacle taiga, farewell with folk choirs and fireworks over the Amur IRA. Tears freezing on lashes, slipped notes into their crates, roar for the lost ones. Alexia proposed that Eve, ring glinting like stripes. Alina returned to Vladivostok, her phage research greenlit. In Sikotalin, the queens adapted collars, beeping trails through cedar cathedrals, first kills, boar deer. By 2030, Solnishko birthed her litter 3, all surviving. Zvezdoshka followed, her roars luring toms from afar. Zarya's line spidered the wild, cubs begetting cubs. Numbers climbing, 700 by 2035, patrols fortified. Back in Khabarovsk, Iran director watched feeds from her office, Alexei's hand on her swelling belly. Their child, dew in dawn's light, would hear tiger tales. Zarya, graying but fierce, paced her sunset years. Boris, her steadfast shadow. The taiga whispered thanks, miracles unbidden, rewrite fates. And in life's grand, untamed script, the most savage beauties are the unforeseen stripes, emerging from shadow, roars birthed in silence. Thanks so much for listening. See you in the next video. Have a great day.